Hi guys, I have scored a 98 out of 100 in my English literature examination, and in today's video I will be explaining you Macbeth Act 5, and this is your final and your last act. So if you have reached this video, this means that all your acts are about to be completed finally once and for all. So yeah, let's just get started and get over with this last act. So, Act 5, Scene 1, a short summary to the scene is Lady Macbeth is walking in her sleep, dreaming about the murder of Duncan. So, she's sleepwalking basically. The scene takes place in Lady Macbeth's apartments. There is a doctor of physic and a waiting gentlewoman. Doctor says, I have watched and observed her for 2 days with you. Yet I have perceived no truth in the report. I have received no evidence about what you have described. When was it that she last walked? Gentlewoman says, ever since His Highness has gone to the battlefield, I have seen her rise from her bed, throw her dressing gown upon her, unlock her cabinet, that is the closet, take forth paper, fold it. Elizabethans used to fold their paper to form margins first. Then after they would form an envelope. So while write upon it, read it, and afterwards seal it. That is, letters were stamped over the folds with the writer's personal seal and again returned to bed. Yet all this while being most fast asleep. So she was basically sleepwalking and she used to do all these tasks while she was fast asleep. Doctor says a great perturbation, that is disturbance in nature. To get the benefits of sleeping and do the effects of watching. So he's saying that she is sleeping, she's getting the benefits of sleeping, but at the same time she's doing everything like as though she's awake. This slumbery agitation, that is sleeping activity, other than the walking and the other actual, that is active or physical performances, what and when have you heard her say? Gentlewoman, that sir I may not report after her repeat behind her back. So she's saying, as a servant, she's saying that I cannot repeat behind her back. I cannot say that. Doctor says, you may to me, you can at least speak it out to me. That is, you can tell it to me. It is most proper thing to do. Gentlewoman says, neither to you nor to anyone, without having a witness to confirm my speech, because she herself cannot trust herself, right? Enter Lady Macbeth with a taper, that is a candle. Lo you, she's talking very softly. Here she comes. This is her very guise, that is appearance, and I swear of my life that she is fast asleep. Observe her, stand close. Doctor says, how did she come by, that is get the light, that is referring to the taper or the candle. So doctor is curious. He's saying that how did she get the candle if she's sleeping? Gentlewoman says, why, it stood by her. There is a light continually by her. It is her command. So she's saying that it is always by her side. The candle is always kept. Let's say if she's sleeping, it is always near her bed, kind of thing, right? And it is her command that there should be a source of light always near me. Doctor says, you see her eyes are open. Gentlewoman says, but their senses are shut. So doctor is saying, but her eyes are open. How can she sleepwalk with her eyes are open? So gentlewoman is saying that yes, her eyes are open, but her sense is shut. That like her eyes are open, but she's not being able to see anything, or her sense is not working, right? Doctor says, what is it she does now? What is she doing right now? Look how she rubs her hands. So say if I'm Lady Macbeth, my eyes are closed and I'm doing something like this, So doctor is like, what is she doing? Look how she rubs her hands. Gentlewoman says it is an accustomed action. So basically she does this every single time. As though she is washing her hands. She does this continuously for a quarter of an hour. Lady Macbeth, yet here's the spot. Doctor, hark, she speaks. So doctor is shocked. Oh my gosh, she's doing actions. Her eyes are open. She's speaking. Hark, she speaks. I shall write down, like as a doctor, I should note these things down. Everything that comes through her, that everything that she speaks, to satisfy my remembrance the more strongly. So in order to get the cure of this, whatever is going on, and in order to make sure that whatever I'm seeing is in fact real, I will write down everything she says. Alright. Lady Macbeth, out, damned spot, that is cursed spot, blood of Duncan. 1, 2, Lady Macbeth is reliving her previous experience of ringing the bell, perhaps to call Macbeth to kill Duncan. Why then 'tis time to do it? Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie, a soldier, yet afeard. Why should we be afraid about who knows it when no one can call our power to account, no one can challenge our authority? Yet who would have thought the old man have had so much blood? Over here she's basically referring to Duncan, and like basically, when she's saying old man could have so much blood, as in she's referring to Duncan's blood, right? Remember, so much blood was coming out of his body. And then she's also saying that fire soldier, she's remembering all those different scenes, scenarios that she's been through that has caused her so much PTSD kind of situation, right? So she's saying to her husband that, why are you so afraid of killing a man? It is such a normal thing, kind of stuff. So doctor says, did you hear that? Because of course this entire incident of them killing people is still unknown to the crowd, to let's say the doctors or the servants. It is still unknown to them, and that is why when doctor hears about it, he says, did you mark, that is, did you hear that? Lady Macbeth says, the Thane of Fife, that is Macduff, had a wife. Where is she now? Will my hands never be clean? No more of that, my lord, no more of that. You will mar, that is ruin everything with your starting or nervous jumpiness. Doctor says, go to, oh no, oh no. I have come to know what I should have not. Gentlewoman says, she has told something she should have not. I am sure about that. Heaven knows what other secrets does she have. So now the gentlewoman, her servant herself, is saying that she told something. Lady Macbeth told something she should have not. And God knows what else she's hiding from all of us. Lady Macbeth says, the smell of blood is still there. Now see, every time she's having these things, she cannot clean out the blood from her hand, even though literally she has obviously washed off the blood long ago. But this image of the blood still staining her hands, still being there on her hands, is just a proof of how much of a negative, long lasting impact that incident has set in her mind, that spot is just not leaving. If the spot is not leaving, then the smell of blood is not leaving. Right now she's saying the smell of blood is there still. All the perfumes of Arabia, that is the spices used for making perfumes, were imported from Saudi Arabia, could not sweeten this little hand. Oh. Doctor says, what a sigh here. Her heart is sorely charged. Her heart is heavily burdened. Gentlewoman, I would not want such a heart in my bosom. Now, gentlewoman is utterly disgusted with Lady Macbeth, and she's saying, I would not want such a heart in my bosom, in my chest, for the dignity of my body, for the best of my body, even if I could have the status of a queen like Macbeth, like Lady Macbeth. Doctor says, well. Gentlewoman says, I pray to God that everything will be well. Doctor says, this disease is beyond my practice. It is beyond my control. Because back in the day, of course, psychology studies related to that, I don't think it was this good as it is right now. So, of course, it was beyond his practice, beyond his level of expertise. Yet I have known of those who have walked in their sleep. So he's saying, yet I do know a few people who have walked in their sleep and died holily in their beds. Lady Macbeth says, wash your hands, put your nightgown, do not look so pale. I will tell you, yet again, Banquo's buried, he cannot come out of his grave. All these were spoken in much older acts, actually. About them getting ready before anyone else can get to know about their deeds and everything, where they were acting all innocent. This was way back when they killed Duncan, alright? Doctor says, even so, is that true? Lady Macbeth says, to bed, there's knocking at the gate. Now, just keep knowing the fact that Lady Macbeth is absolutely asleep. She has no idea that the doctor is here, the gentlewoman is here. She has no idea about all of these things. To bed, there's knocking at the gate. Come. Give me your hand. What's done cannot be undone. To bed. She's trying to kind of convince her husband that it is okay what has been done. We have already killed Duncan. It's over. Let's forget about that. Let's move ahead. Doctor says, will she go now to bed? Gentlewoman, directly. Doctor says, foul whisperings, that is rumors, are abroad, that is they are circulating. Unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. Infected minds, that is all these negative thoughts in the minds, to their deaf pillows shall discharge their secrets. She needs more of the divine help. She needs God's blessing at this point instead of the physician. God forgive us all. So he is asking forgiveness in behalf of Lady Macbeth, in behalf of the servants, in behalf of anybody who has actually been around this kind of negativity. He's asking for forgiveness. Why is he asking? For not only listening to her secrets, but also for being in her chamber without her consent. To the gentlewoman, he says, take care of her, remove from her all means of annoyance, that is anything that can be used to harm herself. Still keep eyes upon her, so good night. she has mated, that is stunned my mind and amazed, that is bewildered my sight. I think but dare not speak. Gentlewoman says, good night, good doctor. Now, Act 5, Scene 2, a short summary. A section of the army marches towards Dunsinane and their leaders discuss their enemy, Macbeth, who is showing signs of panic. Scene takes place in the countryside near Dunsinane. There's drums and colours, military sounds, and regimental banners. Enter Menteith, Caithness, Lennox, Angus, and soldiers. If you do not understand who these people are, you can just open your book and you can skip a few pages and you will find the characters in the play. You'll find that, and if you skip a few more pages from the front, you will find people in the play. This page, it has all the details of all the people in the play, all a little more descriptive way. So make sure you read these, and you can add a few lines from these in your answers. Menteith says the English Power Army force is near, led by Malcolm and his uncle Seward and the good Macduff. Their desires for revenge burn in them. Their causes would do the bleeding, that is the bloodshed, and the grim alarm excite the mortified, that is dead or insensible man. Angus says, near Burnham Wood shall we meet them, that is the way they are coming. Caithness says, who knows, sir, if Donald Bane be there with his brother. Lennox says, for certain, sir, he is not. I have the file of all the gentry. There is Seward's son and other unrough, beardless youth who still protest the first of their manhood. That is, they show that now they have reached their manhood. Menteith says, what does the tyrant, as in what about Macbeth? Caithness says, Great Dunsinane, he strongly fortifies, so he is in Great Dunsinane. Some call him mad, others that lesser hate him call it valiant fury. Yet he cannot buckle the distempered cause under the belt of the rule. Angus says, now does Macbeth feel his secret murders sticking to him. Every minute the rebel armies punish his treachery. The soldiers that he commands do not fight out the love for him. Now does he feel the title of his kingship hanging loose on him like a giant's robe on a dwarfish thief. Menteith, who then shall blame his pestered, vexed senses to recoil and start, when all that is within him begins to condemn itself for being there? That is, his own nature is in rebellion with itself. His own nature is in disgust with itself. Macbeth is such a disgustful man that, even his own body, anything that is in him, or, his own nature is disgusted, and his own nature is in rebellion with itself. Caithness says, well, march we on to the obedience, where it is truly owed or deserved, to meet the medicine or the physician, they are referring to Malcolm, of the sickly weal, as in land, and we shall pour every drop of our blood to cleanse our country. Lennox says, or so as much it needs to dew, that is water, the sovereign flowers, and to drown the weeds, that is kill anything that is unnecessary. Make we our march to Burnham. Now, if you remember, if you've checked Act 4, you will realize there was an apparition about this as well, about the Burnham Woods, about the child with a stick in its hand. It is related to that. Alright, to Act 5, Scene 3, short summary. Macbeth learns about of the approaching armies. He discusses about his wife's condition to the doctor and goes off to the battle. The scene takes place in Dunsinane in Macbeth's castle. Enter Macbeth, doctor, and the attendants. Macbeth says, bring me no more reports. Let them, that is referring to the Thanes of Scotland, fly all, that is run away. Let them run away. Let them run away or betray me, until Burnham Woods moves towards Dunsinane. Again, he is referring to the apparition which was there. What's the boy Malcolm? Isn't he born of a woman? So, yet again, apparition, right? Remember? The spirit witches who know all mortal consequences have pronounced me thus. Fear not, Macbeth. Any man who is born of a woman shall never have the power upon thee. Then fly, babe Thanes, and mingle with the English epicures, that is the soft-living English men, right? The mind I sway by or rule myself, and the heart I bear shall never sag with doubt nor shake with fear. Then he says, may the devil damn curse thee and turn you into black, your cream face, that is white-faced loon, that is lound, Scottish word of abuse similar to villain or rogue. Where gottest thou such a goose look? Servant says, there are 10,000. Macbeth says, geese, villain? Servant says, soldiers, sir. Macbeth says, go prick thy face and overred, that is paint red over thy fear. Thou lily-livered boy, that is white, bloodless liver. Liver was traditionally believed to be a seat of courage. So if it is white, that means he is very coward. What soldiers of patch, idiot? Death of thy soul, curse you! Your linen cheeks, that is white pale face, shall make the other counselors afraid. What soldiers, whey face? Whey face as in white face. Whey was a thin liquid that is separated when the milk is curdless. So he is kind of making him feel coward. Servant says, the English force so please you. Macbeth says, take thy face hence, take your face out of here. Exeunt the servant. Satan, I am sick at heart when I be okay. Satan, Seyton. So here he is referring to a person, but also at the same time Satan, as in like, you know, Lucifer, like something very negative, right? Devil. So it sounds like Satan, but we are referring to Seyton, Satan. So remember that. Keep that in mind. So it could be something possibly negative, right? Because Shakespeare is known to play with words in this way. Words which might sound same, but he will just change the spelling and kind of use it as a name, but it will have the same impact. Like, you know, let's say if you were talking actually to Satan, you would be possibly talking about something very negative. And at the same time, if you're talking to Seyton, Satan, it could also possibly be something negative. Now, I don't know whether what I'm saying is actually correct or not, but let's see. Satan, I say, this push, onslaught, or thrust of weapons shall either cheer me, that is comfort me. Macbeth can still make pun with the chair, or deceit, that is unseat or dethrone me now. I have lived a long life, my way through life, the curse of my life has fallen into the sear that is dry or withered. The yellow leaf. So Shakespearean Sonnet 73, opening lines. It leads me towards withering and death like a yellow leaf, and that which should accompany the old age like honor, love, and obedience, the troops of friends. So he's saying that, you know, when a person is old, he should have a lot of people in his life, be it honor, love, obedience. He should have friends in his life. I must not look to have. So he's saying, but I will not have any of those. But in their stead, like instead of that, I will have curses, not loud but deep. He receives curses which are quiet but with profound hate. Mouth honor, that is flattery, lip service. Breath that my poor heart would faint, willingly deny. My heart would happily end myself, yet it dares not. Satan. Enter Satan. Satan says, what's your gracious pleasure? Macbeth says, what news more? Satan says, all's confirmed that was reported. Macbeth says, I'll fight till from my bones my flesh be hacked. Give me my armor. Satan says, it is not needed yet. Macbeth says, give it to me anyway. Send more horses, cover the country round. Send more cavalry around the country. Hang those that talk of fear. Give me mine armor. To the doctor, he says, how does your patient, doctor? So he's basically asking about his wife. Doctor says, not so sick, my lord. She is troubled by her thick coming fancies. That is, fancies coming at a rapid succession. That keeps her from her rest. Macbeth says, cure her of that. Canst thou minister or treat a mind diseased? Pluck out from the memory a deeply rooted embedded sorrow. Raise out the written imprinted troubles of the brain. And with some sweet oblivious causing forgetfulness antidote, cleanse her stuffed heart, heavily burdened heart, of that perilous, that is awful stuff that weighs upon the heart. So he's basically so desperate and he's feeling so sorry for his wife that he's asking the doctor, can't you do something? Can't you just pluck out the bad memories from her? Can't you just take these things out of her? Can't you just give her some antidote, some medicine, and just heal her? Doctor says, therein the patient must minister to himself. Here the doctor deliberately implies that it is Macbeth who needs to be healed first, right? Macbeth says, thou physic to dogs, so medicine to dogs, I'll none of it, right? To Satan he says, put mine armor on, give my staff that is lance, send out the soldiers. To doctor he says, the thanes fly or run away from me. To Satan he says, come sir, dispatch, that is, let's hurry up. To doctor he says, if thou couldst cast the water, that is, test the urine of the land and find the diseases and purge into sound and pristine, that is, undefiled health, I would applaud thee to the very echo that would applaud again. So he's saying that if you could use the urine, you know, like sample it and like, you know, kind of just find the problem and like just, find a solution, I would applaud you so much that my applaud would echo and like it would applaud again kind of thing. To Satan says, pull it off, I say, referring to the armor, what rhubarb, medicinal plants prescribed as emetics or other purgative drugs can scour these English out. Hearest thou of them? Doctor says, "Ay, my good lord, your royal preparation that is for the war. Make us hear something." Macbeth says, "Bring it after me," either referring to the piece of the armor or some further news. "I am not afraid of death and bane," that is, I'm not afraid of destruction, till Burnham Forest comes to Dunsinane. Yet again referring to the apparition. Now just imagine how important the apparition part specifically was from the previous act, because of this exact reason. Those portions specifically, if you just understand those portions, it will be more than enough for you for moving forward with the other acts. Doctor says, "Were I from Dunsinane away and clear, profit again should hardly draw me." This is a very William Shakespeare thing. So the avarice of physicians were always a target of satire. Act 5, Scene 4, a short summary. Malcolm's army camouflage themselves with branches from the trees of Burnham Wood. This is how the apparition comes true. That is why they had trees in their hands, right? The scene takes place in Burnham Wood. Drums and colours enter Malcolm Seward, Macduff Seward's son, Menteith, Caithness, Angus, and soldiers marching. There were a lot of people. Malcolm says, "Cousins, I hope this day is near when our chambers will be safe. That is, we will finally be able to sleep in peace." Menteith says, "We do not doubt that." Seward says, "What wood is there before us?" Menteith says, "The wood of Burnham." Malcolm says, "Let every soldier hew him down a bow," that is, hack off a branch, "and bear it before him, to shadow or make it difficult for Macbeth's spies to discover the accurate number of hosts or soldiers." So let's say if they did not do that, then the soldiers of Macbeth could easily see that, oh my god, there's a lot of people, so they would run away. But let's say they don't know how many men are there, so they will be like, okay, maybe not many. And that too, they camouflage themselves completely, so basically they don't even know how many men are going to come, and report back to him. Okay. A soldier, "It shall be done." Seward says, "We learn nothing about than the fact that the overconfident Macbeth shall keep still in Dunsinane, and will endure our setting down, laying siege, setting up camp before him." Malcolm says it is his main hope, advantage, that will provide him with the opportunity to escape. People both more or less, that is higher and lower ranks, have deserted him. None serve him except for those who are constrained or forced to serve him, whose hearts are absent too. So he's saying that nobody wants to serve him. People of higher and lower ranks have left him, have deserted him. The people who are now serving him are serving him because they are being forced to serve him, and also they are serving not genuinely. They don't even have their hearts in the work. They have to work because they are being compelled to work. Macduff says, "Let our just censures, that is criticisms, attend the true event, and put we on the industrious soldiership." Seward says, "The time's coming quickly when we will know exactly what we have accomplished and what we are still left to do. Our speculations just prove our uncertain hopes. We will get certainty only when we go out and start fighting. So let's start with the war. Exeunt all marching." Act 5, Scene 5. Short summary. When the battle is at its height, Macbeth comes to know that his wife has died, and the Burnham Wood comes towards Dunsinane. The scene takes place in Dunsinane. In Macbeth's castle enter Macbeth, Satan, and soldiers with drums and colours. Macbeth says, "Hang out our banners on the outside walls of our castle. You all keep shouting, they are coming. Our castle strength shall laugh at their siege. Let them lay there till famine, that is hunger, ague, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce that. Disease characterized by fever and shivering fits. Eat them over. Had not our soldiers revolted and joined them, we would have confronted them in front of our castle, beard to beard, that is man to man, and beat them backward home, England." A cry within a woman. What is that noise? Satan. "It is the cry of a woman, good lord." Macbeth says, "I have almost forgotten the taste of fears. There was a time that even a shriek in the night would fill me with dread. The fell of my hair at a dismal treatise, I guess, frightening story, would arouse as though there were life in it. I have supped or feasted on my horrors. Direness or horror is familiar to my slaughterous thoughts. Cannot once startle me. What was the cause of that cry?" So he has this minute introspective moment whereby he hears the cry of a woman, and he recalls how initially he would be so afraid whenever he would hear these cries, and he used to think that, oh my god, what has happened, he would be dreaded, he would be full of fear. But now he is so used to these things, his own mind is full of so much of negativity, that these things just make no difference to him. These things just seem nothing in front of what his mind has going on. Satan says, the queen, Lady Macbeth, is dead, my lord. Macbeth says, Lady Macbeth would have died sooner or later. This news would inevitably come. She should have died later, so there would have been more time for mourning. Tomorrow, and tomorrow comes at its pretty face from day to day till the last syllable of the recorded time. And all of our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle, so the light, right? Life is nothing but a walking shadow, a poor player or actor that struts and frets, that is, raves his hour upon the stage, and is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So he's saying that this is basically, he's talking about life, right? He's saying that anyways Lady Macbeth would die, because you know the condition of her. She was sleepwalking, she was not in a good condition and all that. So now enters a messenger. You have come here to use your tongue or speak, then tell the story quickly. Messenger says, my gracious lord, I want to tell you what I saw, but I don't know how to say it. Macbeth, well, just say it. Messenger says, when I did watch upon the hill, I looked towards Burnham, and anon suddenly methought the woods began to move. Macbeth, liar and slave. Messenger, let me endure your wrath or punishment if it not be so. From 3 miles you will be able to see it coming, if it is a moving grove or forest. So remember, the people have disguised themselves with branches. So now there are so many soldiers with branches that it almost seems that the forest kind of lifted itself and they started walking. Exactly what the apparition said. And as I mentioned, these witches used loopholes in their own sentence formation in a way that Macbeth got trapped in their words, and that is exactly what they wanted. Macbeth says to the messengers, if thou speakest false, then upon the next tree shalt thou hang alive, till for minds, that is hunger, cling thee, that is shrivel you up. If you sooth or are telling the truth, then I do not care if you will do the same thing to me. To himself he says, my resolve is failing. I now begin to doubt the lies told by the witches that actually sounded like the truth. Don't worry till Burnham Wood comes to Dunsinane. And now the entire wood is coming to Dunsinane? To the soldiers, go arm yourselves and go fight. To himself, if what the soldiers are avouches is the truth, then I can neither fly, that is, I can neither escape or run, nor tarry, that is, stay here. I am getting weary about my life, and I wish the estate of the world, that is, the order of creation, falls apart, that there is chaos. Why should I suffer alone, right? To the soldiers he says, ring the alarm bell, blow wind, let the rack, that is, ruin, at least we will die with harness or armor on our backs. Exeunt. Act 5, Scene 6. A short summary. Malcolm's army reaches Macbeth's castle and the battle is commenced. The scene takes place in Dunsinane surrounding Macbeth's castle. Enter Malcolm, Seward, Macduff, army with bows. Malcolm says, now we are near enough. You can throw down your leafy screens, that is bows, all those branches which they had, and show like those you are. You, worthy uncle, that is Seward, shall with my cousin, your right noble son, lead the first of the battle division of the army. Macduff and we, using royal plurals, shall take upon what's left to be done according to our order plan. Seward says, fare you well. If we find the tyrant's Macbeth's power force tonight, then let us be beaten, defeated, if we cannot fight. Macduff says, with all our breath, let us blow the trumpets. Those clamorous, deafening harbingers, that is, officers sent to make reservation of blood and death. Exeunt. Alarums continue. So Act 5, Scene 7, short summary. Macbeth encounters young Seward and kills him. The scene takes place before or inside the castle of Dunsinane. Enter Macbeth. Macbeth says, they have tied me to a stake and I cannot fly or escape, but bear like I must fight my course, that is, fight like a bear that has been chained in the and attacked by dogs for so-called sport called bear baiting. Where is that man who is not born of a woman? I am only afraid of him and no one else. So now that Burnham Woods has actually, moved towards Dunsinane, he now believes that there is in fact a man who is not born of a woman. Enter young Seward. Young Seward says, what is thy name? Macbeth says, you will be afraid to hear it. Young Seward says, no, I shall not be afraid, even if you call a hotter name than any of the demons in hell. Macbeth says, my name is Macbeth. Young Seward, the devil also could not pronounce a title so hateful to my ears. Macbeth says, no, nor my frightening. Young Seward, thou liest, you abhorred tyrant. With my sword, I will prove the lie thou speakest. Fight, and young Seward is Slain. Macbeth says, "You were born of a woman. I smile at swords and scorn weapons brandished by men who are born of a woman. Exit with young Seward's body." Alarums enter Macduff. Macduff says, "That is the way direction of the noise. Tyrant, show your face. If you are not slain from the stroke of my sword, then the ghost of my wife and children will haunt me forever. I do not want to fight those wretched kerns, that is soldiers, who fight for their staves, that is lance. Either you, Macbeth, I shall fight till the unbattered edge of my sword turns dull, or I shall sheath it again unheaded. You should be there according to the great clatter or noise of the greatest notes that seems bruited or reported. He calls fortune, positive force, to help him find Macbeth, and he shall beg no more." So he is basically so angry at Macbeth. He calls upon him. He charges him. He says that I will make sure that I end you before ghosts of my wife and children start haunting me for not taking the revenge, right? So he is basically talking about that. Alarums enter Malcolm and Seward. Seward says, "This way, my lord, the castle is gently remembered that it surrendered itself without any fuss." So nobody in the palace is actually interested to defend Macbeth. Like, nobody wants to do that. Everyone wants to get peace back in Scotland, and that is why everybody has surrendered itself. There is no fuss. The tyrant's people fight from both sides. The Thanes are fighting very bravely. The day almost professes itself as yours. The victory is almost yours. Only a little is left to do. Malcolm says, "I have met the foes, that is enemies, that strike beside us, who fight from our side." Seward says, "Enter, sir, the castle, exeunt all." Act 5, Scene 8, short summary. Macbeth encounters Macduff. The scene takes place in Dunsinane. Enter Macbeth. Macbeth says, "Why should I play the Roman fool and kill myself with my own sword? Roman honor demanded suicide over surrender." Yes, back in the days, the kings would rather die than actually surrender, because surrendering would be something very coward, and they would not want that. So instead of surrendering, they would rather end themselves altogether. "When I see my living enemies, I shall wound them, than be wounded myself." Enter Macduff. Macduff says, "Turn and face me, you hellhound, that is dog." Macbeth says, "Out of all people, I have tried to avoid thee. Get out of here. My soul is already charged, that is heavily burdened or stained with the blood of your family." So Macbeth knows that he has already killed Macduff's family, and he's already heavily charged. His immortal soul is already accursed by all the sins that Macbeth has committed, and that is why he is saying that out of all the people, I was trying to avoid you. I was trying to avoid your face, and here you are. Macduff says, "I have no words. My voice is in my sword." Basically, he's saying that now I will not speak. I will just do the actions. I will just do what I have come here to do. "Thou bloodier villain than terms or words can give out or express. Fight." Alarum. "Beth, thou losest labor or energy. You might as well try to stab the enchant, that is incapable of being cut air with your keen sword, than try to kill or bleed me. May your blade fall on vulnerable crest, someone who can be harmed, because I am charmed under the supernatural security which cannot yield be defeated to one of woman born." Macduff says, "Despair thy charm, because the angel," or sarcastic form of reference to the witches, "which will tell thee that Macduff was untimely ripped from his mother's womb," that is premature birth, delivered by cesarean section, C-section. Macbeth says, "May your tongue be cursed for telling me so. My courage has deserted me. I shall never trust these juggling friends, tricky witches, that tricked me with their double sense or meanings, raising my hopes only to break them. I shall not fight with thee," because he knows that if I will fight with Macduff, I will lose according to the apparitions, according to the prophecies which was done. I will lose, and he does not want that, and that is why he's altogether just trying to avoid him as much as possible. He's saying that, "No, I don't want to fight you." Macduff says, "Then yield or surrender thee, coward, and live to be the show and the gaze of time, and we will have thee just like a monster painted upon a pole, and under it, here you will find the tyrant." So he is trying to make him feel absolutely worthless, as he should. So he is saying that we will either you will fight with me or you should surrender, which was very embarrassing at that day and time and age, right? So he's saying either you do that or you surrender, and if you do surrender, then you will become a show and a gaze of time. So he's basically trying to, he's just trying to make sure that he fights because he wants to end Macbeth. He wants to end Macbeth. He wants that revenge, right? Macbeth says, I will not yield or surrender. I will not surrender. To kiss the ground of young Malcolm's feet, to be baited or taunted to the rabble's skirts by commoners. Though Birnam Wood has come to Dunsinane, and with you opposite to me, not born of a woman, I will still try the last. He's saying, I will try the last. I will try the last. Before your body, I will throw my warlike shield. Come on, Macduff, and damned or cursed be him who first cries, hold enough. Alarum? Macbeth is slain. Macbeth is slain, as he should. This is so long. It was almost like a K-drama. I had to wait so long to reach this. Jeez. Okay, anyways. Act 5, Scene 9. Short summary, Malcolm is proclaimed as the king. The scene takes place in Malcolm's headquarters. Retreat and flourish trumpet called to herald Malcolm's approach. Enter with drums and colors. Malcolm, Seward, Ross, Thanes, and soldiers. Malcolm, I wish some of our friends could have survived to be here. Seward, in every battlefield, someone or the other is lost. Yet, with what I can see, this great victory didn't cost us as much. Right? Malcolm, where is Macduff, as well as your noble son? Ross, your son, my lord, has paid the soldier's debt. A soldier owes his life. So a soldier's debt, basically every soldier, he owes his life to his country, right? So that is why he's saying that he has paid the soldier's debt. That is, he has been executed. He lived till his manhood, which no sooner with his prowess confirmed in unshrinking station, where he fought without flinching, but like a man he died. So he is dead. Ross says yes, and he's brought off the field. If your sorrow were to equal his worth, then it would be endless. So he's saying that if you now grieve for his death, then you have to grieve for a lifetime, because it will be endless, because he was that good, he was that brave, and he was so young yet manly to actually give up his own life. Seward says, had he his hurts before or in the front body? So like, did he have his hurts or wounds in the front of his body? Ross says A, in the front. Seward says, why then, God's soldier be he, if I had as many sons as the hairs on my head, I could not hope for any fairer death, or a death with more honor, and so his knell or funeral bell is knolled. So he's saying that if I had a lot of sons, just like hair in our head, so like we have countless hair in our head, and he is saying if I had just as many sons, yet his son who just was executed, he's saying that he would still be incomparable to all the other sons if he had any, right? Malcolm says he's worth more sorrow, and that I'll spend for him. So Malcolm is saying I'll spend that, because he will now be the king and he feels himself responsible for this. So he's saying that I will spend as sorrow, as a form of respect, rather, right? So Sybil says he's worth no more. They say he parted well and paid his score or debt. May God be with him. Here comes newer comfort. Enter Macduff with Macbeth's head. Then Macduff says, hail king, for so thou art. Behold where it stands. The usurper's head that takes someone else's kingdom, referring to Macbeth. The usurpers, like, basically they're taking someone else's kingdom, and here they're referring to Macbeth. All right, the time is free, the good time has come, as we are free from the tyrant's rule. I see you are sitting with the kingdom's pearl or noblemen, who speak my salutation in their minds, and I want them to scream from their voice, hail king of Scotland, all hail king of Scotland, and flourish. So guys, can you believe with this we have come to an end of the entire Macbeth for your class 12th, and you can still check out my entire playlist that I have made. They are very short. If you're watching this one day before your examination, make sure you go through the entire playlist. You can just go to my channel, click on the playlist section, and click on your class 12 English literature playlist, and yeah, that's it. I hope this video helped. If it was useful, make sure to like, subscribe. Till then, I'll see you. Bye bye.